Hey YouTube, welcome on back to a new video. I just got these figures from a Comic-Con I was just at. I was actually Scarecrow for the Comic-Con, and I did not win a costume prize, but it was really cool. But anyways, so these characters are all custom made from offline character people that made them. So these are all not Lego figures from Lego. So let's go over them. So this figure is Deadpool Cowboy or Cowboy Deadpool. Either way. So he has that black hat with the red bandana. Really cool looking torso with his bullet sash on the front with his red vest. Cool belt. And then he has some printing on the pants. And then he has some black pistols. And then he has some printing on his belt and into his legs, and then he has printing all down the side where his belt and ammo is and his gun holster. And then really cool, very well done character. Anyway, so he has back printing, some more printing on his belt, and then more printing on his pants, and all down the side again on his arm, and no other printing on his front, on his back of the head, and just a regular Deadpool face on under the mask. And that's it for Deadpool Cowboy. Our next character is the Leader. So I wish that the same piece color was for his head matched, but it does not, which is kind of funny. That's the only downgrade of this piece that I think for this entire figure, if his head matched his head. Other than that, really cool looking for his torso, his pants, his face expression, all look good except for his skin color to his skin color right there. But his egg-shaped head, and then he has some printing on his arm, no printing on his pants on the back or on the sides. He has some printing on his back and into his belt and on his arm, but no printing on the side right there. And then he has some printing on his pants right there. And he came with this gun. But other than his head not matching his head, that's the only downgrade of this figure, but I think he looks really cool. I think he'd be a good piece for my city. Let's get on to the next character. All right, I got Spider-Man 2099. Has basically comes in a CMF series soon, but I got him early from that Comic-Con, and this is kind of the same look that will be at the CMF series. But this is also a custom-made character, and it came with a different head, and I'll show that in just a minute. And then, so let's go more over the character. So he has that blue and the red on his eyes and the cool Spider-Man logo. And he has some printing on his pants, some printing on his belt and into his shoes, and then some printing on his side for his arm. No printing on the side of him, on his legs. Actually, he does. It's really, really faint. You barely can see it. And then he has that see-through cape. And then some printing on his boots. And same thing on this side. And that is it. Until I put his other facial expression on without the mask. And this is what his face looks like with a curly Han Solo hair type of thing. And the seriously kind of question face. Like, seriously? But anyways. So that's what he looks like. No other expression on the other side of his face. But I will probably still get the CMF series version of him anyways. On to the next character. I also just thought he would look good with the new Hobgoblin face with him holding his mask instead. And this is what the new Hobgoblin looks like from the Peter Parker's apartment. So I'm just going to go over the new character anyways from Peter Parker's apartment. So he has that rubber cape right here. And then he has no printing on the sides. This is an actual Lego figure from Peter Parker's apartment. So anyways, so he has some cool details on his torso. No printing into his belt, but he has some cool printing on his pants and his shoes. And he has that cool new helmet piece from the Moon Knight cowl, and then cool expression from the Hobgoblin mask, and then same face that I just showed you, and then he has some printing on the back behind the cape, and I'll show you the other expression of the Hobgoblin face. Now this is the other expression from the Hobgoblin face, and then this is what his back looks like with his satchel on the side. And I'll probably just give him a real satchel, because I have a couple around here. But that's Hobgoblin, and I thought he would be really cool with his mask in his hand, and then his real expression with that Han Solo head that I just had for $20.99 Spider-Man. All right, to the next character. The next character I have is Kang the Conqueror. So, he has this cool helmet piece with like blue face for his it almost looks like the Electro face almost, and then comes with this cool custom cape that's really hard, and then it's flat, like, so it's like armor and then straight down for his cape, and it's very hard plastic. And then he has really cool detail on his torso, and then into his belt, and then onto his pants. Has printing on his shoes, and he has printing all down his side, on his arm, down his side, on his belt, and then into his pant legs. And then same thing on this side, printing all down. Now let's take off the helmet and take off the custom armor and cape to show you what it looks like. All right, so the rest of them has just this blue head all the way around, and then this is what it looks like on under the cape, and then this is what it looks like on this side of the cape. Really cool details. If I had more of this character, I probably could make like another Electro or more multiple man, because it kind of has the same color look to that character. Continuing on to the next character. Our next character is a TVA agent. He has a random number going across his helmet, and then he has a cool headpiece, and then he has some cool armor, and then he has that orange and black decals on his under his shirt and on his belt and on his feet. And then he has that death stick thing to send him to the void. And then he has printing on his sides all the way down there, and then he has some printing on the back of his back and then into his pants, and more printing on the side right there. And then I'll take off the armor and show you what he looks like there. All right, so under his armor, he has like a black vest, and then all the orange, and then you can see his belt, and then more of his arm printing, and then more of the black vest right there. And that is what it looks like. And then he has TVA on his arm right there. And that's what he looks like with all his armor off. On to the next character. Our next character is Spider-Woman. So far Lego has not made her, and is also not releasing her into the next CMF series for the Spider-Verse. I have no clue why. So she was one of the main characters in that movie, in the Spider-Verse movies, and in the second Spider-Verse movie. Anyways, so let's go over the character. She has that cool black hair that's poofy and like that, and then she has some cool colors of her torso and some cool printing into her belt and into her pants. And then she has printing on her arm, no printing on her side right there, but she has printing from the front into the side of her boots. And then it goes all the way around to the back of her pants. She has some printing on her back right there. And then, and a little bit on her belt. And then she has a little bit printing on her side of her pants right here. No printing on her side right there, but she has some printing on her arm. And then she has that expression and another expression. And she has this happy expression on the other side. And that's it for Spider-Woman. My next character is Silver Surfer, the female version from the Fantastic Four First Steps movie. So she has two expressions. She has this cool silver hair, short hair, and then mean expression right there. And it goes into her chest, and then some belt, her belt, and then goes into her side and her shoes. A lot of cool detail on her side also, and all down her side right here into her pants. And then she has some muscle looking muscle onto her back, and then into her belt, and then into her pants. And then that's what her side looks like. And then I'll show you her other expression in just a second. And that's what her other expression looks like from that side. It looks a mean look. And that's it for the Silver Surfer, female version. Our second to last figure is Madeline Pryor, and also known as the Goblin Queen, also known as Evil Phoenix, Evil Jean Grey, the clone of Jean Grey. Anyways, and then she came with baby Cable, little baby Cable and the baby right there. So she has red hair, mean expression, some power on her hand, and then cool detail coming down on her front, and then into her bikini type of pants, and then into her pants right there, or her leggings. And then she has some printing on the side right there, down there, and she has this cool beaten up cape. And then I'll show you what it looks like on the other side with her other expression. My last character to show today on this video is Muse. Actually, I have one more character, surprise character after Muse. So, anyways, Muse came with these black claws. I'm not really sure if he actually uses claws in the movie or show of Daredevil Born Again. Anyway, so he has this black hat and the mean expression on his face with his eyes and the blood looking things going down his eyes, and then a blood spot in the middle on his shirt. And then he has some cool decal on his pants and his belt and into his shoes. And then he has some printing on his shoes all the way around, And then he has some printing all the way down from his arm to his side and into his pants. And then some printing on his back, printing on his belt and into his pants, and all the way down his side again. And that is Muse. Surprise last character is Electro. Took me a long time to find this character for the male version and Max Dillon of this comic book look Electro. He has very pointy, very sharp actually, points on his helmet. One expression, that's the only expression he has. And then that cool Electro classic torso, no printing on his pants or down the sides or on his pants on the back or on his sides again, but he has some printing right there. And that is what the back side of his helmet looks like. And that's the front of his helmet. Way better version than the girl version that we had for the 4+ set, I think it was. But this is Electro. And tell me what you guys think of this video, and see you in the next one.